Here's an interesting SWAT story time for you. On one of the search warrants that we had to execute, there are different modes in executing search warrant. The most common Hollywood version is the dynamic entry, and that's where you go in there fast. You got shields, you got flashbangs, everybody's in the hut, 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 really moving through the scene quite quickly. Well, this story involves a dynamic entry that we had on a very repeat violent felon's house. And we had to go hit this house because this guy moved a lot. We had a known location. It was the location where he was actually supposed to be with his arrest warrant and search warrant. And we were going to go get this guy very early in the morning, hopefully right around the time right before you wake up for school. Well, this mission timed out where we hit it when we were supposed to, 4:30 a.m., right? You would think most people would be sleeping, but this household, he had a mother of his children and two children in the house. That is a very risky situation. So what we want to do is hit them when they're asleep, isolate the women and children, and just get the bad guy with as little to no incident as possible. So in doing this, we went in there. I was just a few men deep in the stack. Usually your top four operators usually are some of the more veteran, highly skilled guys. Well, I happen to be going in at number 3. So we hit the house. We do everything that we're supposed to. We do not flashbang in. We flashbang out because there's children in the home. And as we enter and go through and breach the door, we see the mother and the two children walking down the hallway in their PJs to the living room and responding to the commands, the knock on the door. So as we split the house using the intelligence that we had, multiple people, according to plan, were supposed to go certain ways. And I saw the women and children obey commands, show us their hands, get down on their face. And these were young children. This is kind of a worst case nightmares. You do not want to go in there and intimidate women and children. So I immediately deviated from the stack and I shielded the mother and the children with my body and held them in like a little nest that maybe a mother bird would do. And I said, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And I began a conversation with them. And I looked the mother in the eye and said, "Everything's going to be okay. We're not going to hurt anybody. We're just here to go ahead and talk to some people and find some things. You girls look like you're getting dressed for school. How's your school day?" And I just took on a casual conversation and de-escalated the mother and the children. What I was really doing, other than just de-escalating and hopefully avoiding some trauma and scarring, which at the end of the incident, they actually kind of loosened up and breathed, and we played with some stuffed animals, and I got a little smile and a giggle out of them, even in my big tactical kit that I was wearing. We went in there, and with that, my goal, the actual thought running through my mind is if the worst case fatal scenario happens and this guy decides to act up and decide he doesn't want to go to jail today and lethal force is used in either direction, my body will protect these 3 individuals. They are a priority over me. There's something called the priorities of life scale. And when you come into law enforcement, a thought that most people never have, maybe when they become parents, is there another life that takes a higher priority than mine? And in law enforcement, innocent bystanders, which was the mother and children, are a higher priority of life than mine. So I literally was laying my body on top of them and shielding them with my armor and my flesh so that if rounds were fired, it would be me that was struck and not them. And I don't do this in any sentiment to try to glorify myself and make me look like a sacrificial individual, because it was very instinctual in accordance to the moral character of who I am and the role that I play. But I challenge you as a leader in the SWAT story time to try to identify a priority of life scale. You need to genuinely prioritize the physical, the mental, the spiritual well-being of your people. And if tasks and projects and jobs and skill development get in the way and damage the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional safety and well-being of your people, then you are out of alignment in priorities. We need to stop looking at the symptoms of why somebody's doing something well or not well and then just try to tweak skills and come up with certain plans to dial them in. But we need to treat the core of what is happening, which is there's an issue with the person. And if we can address the person, the symptoms will correct themselves, and we will have better people, which equals better family members, community members, better workers and staff and teammates. So that's what I want you to think about in the SWAT story time is, do you need to reconsider where you are on the priority of life scale? And we can have deeper conversations about priorities of life and how it goes in other areas. But when it comes down to thinking about the 5 positions of leadership, if you've read my ebook or followed any other videos, I had to step myself out of leading out front, going to get a bad guy into leading from the side along these people and recognizing the situation they were in and immediately empathizing and connecting with them to draw them into a safe environment. So I challenge you, reassess your priorities. Reassess the amount of care that you're giving out and make sure that you are in the stack when you need to be in the stack. You're shielding bystanders when you need to be shielding bystanders. And if you need to be outside the walls altogether, calling some shots and letting your people get in there and do the work, then you need to do those things and assess the situation. Think about all these things and put your brain in a little bit more of SWAT mode next time you go into the office.